If I can have your attention here in the Media Center, we will now go ahead and get started with today's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series media availabilities. And we're going to start it off with none other than Kevin Harvick, driver of the number 4 Busch Lite Ford for Stewart-Haas Racing. I know we've got a lot of questions in the room. We're going to go ahead and start it here with Andrew. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you.
Andrew Curlin, NASCAR Acceleration Nation. Last weekend was a very statement win for you guys at Dover, 4th win of the year. Do you feel like that's a response to Kyle Busch putting up 3 in a row? And do you feel Kyle Busch is pushing you and your team to a higher standard?
It wasn't a response to anything. We go to the racetrack every week with the same approach of trying to lead laps and win the race. And, I feel like, we're good at pushing ourselves and trying to get better throughout the year. And I feel like the experience of our team is what pushes us.
Go Randy, and then the Jeff, and then the Nick.
Randy Kovitz for USA Today. Kevin is a former team owner and a former champion. I know you've got some thoughts, I hope you do, on this possible sale in NASCAR. Just what are your thoughts on it as a driver and having been on the management side too?
Yeah, I discussed all that on Tuesday night, and I think today it's really about racing for me. And trying to focus on what I need to do with my race team and make my cars go around the racetrack. If I knew the specifics of it, it would be, and even whether it's true, would be easier to give you my opinion.
Go next to Jeff, and then to Todd.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. Just to follow up on that, you said on your show that it could be an opportunity for the schedule to have some changes. Do you look at the possible sale as something more of an opportunity than something to be worried about?
I think when you look at sales of businesses, and NASCAR is a business, there's always going to be, at some point, there's always going to be talk about sales, and there's always going to be talk about transition of ownership, and it's something that happens in every business. And I think as you look at that, I think that the opportunities that come about when you have those situations, people aren't buying them. Don't buy companies to make them worse. And I think that there's always opportunity if there were a sale for something to get better.
We'll go to Todd, then back to Breyer, and then to Lee.
Hey, Kevin. Todd Palmer with Kansas City Star. You've been in the sport for a long time. I was curious, there's been a lot of talk about like Bubba Wallace coming in, the diversity with the drivers and stuff like that. Have you seen that with Cruz and some behind-the-scenes stuff? And is that important for the future of NASCAR, you think, to kind of diversify, the sport and maybe, by extension, diversify the audience?
I think when you look at the NASCAR diversity program, they've done a great job with that through the years. I think we've seen a lot of graduates, come through that particular program. Obviously, on this particular side, you have Darrell Wallace and Daniel Suarez, who have been all the way through it. I think, just like the last question, I think in any business you want to have as much diversity as you can, because obviously, in our case, the audience, becomes interested in different things. So, I think as you look at it in general, I think everybody pushes towards that on a yearly basis, whether it's the teams or NASCAR in general.
We'll go next to Breyer, then to Lee, then to Chris, and then to Nick.
Breyer Star, SpeedwayMedia.com. You had 2 wins here at Kansas, and you're coming off a win at Dover. What would it mean to you to go back to victory lane here tomorrow night and have back-to-back consecutive wins in a row?
Well, I feel like this has honestly been one of our best racetracks as I've gone through the years, and especially since I've come to SHR. I don't feel like we've won as many races here as we probably should have. Some of it of our own doing, and some of it just circumstances. But we've always run really, really well here. And, for me, I look forward to coming here for a number of different reasons. Not only do we run well at the racetrack, but, I think just when you look at this racetrack, I saw it when it was just the racetrack and the highway here. And now you look at what's around it. Everything has been built around what you're sitting in right now. And to me, that is something that is pretty neat to see, just because of the fact of The racetrack was here first, and it's easy to get from the airport. It's one of the better racetracks on the schedule as far as convenience, in my opinion, because there is so much to do now. It's so conveniently off the highway and from the airport, and the airport's easy to get in and out of. There's just a number of things that I look forward to coming here, and sitting in the casino watching a truck race tonight, eating dinner is not too bad either. So it's just a good place to come. And like I say, we run well here, but it's just a good experience, and I just enjoy the surroundings of everything that is outside of the racetrack as well. So I enjoy that.
We'll go to Lee, then to Chris, Nick, Kathy, and Todd.
Were you surprised by Martha Earnhardt's comments that you were now her favorite race car driver?
It did catch me a little bit off guard, to tell you the truth. And just hearing that, seeing that comment, not hearing it, seeing that comment, from Dale Jr. and seeing the reaction, from a lot of the fans is a lot of responsibility, honestly. And it's like I said on the show Tuesday night, it's when you look at the Earnhardt family in general, I mean, the legacy that they have in our sport, no matter where, from start to finish, from Ralph to Dale Jr. on down to, what happens next, it's a major backbone of what has happened in this sport. And when you look at that, I feel like I have a small part of where that changed and took place and where it's going. So for me, there's a lot of pressure, but also a lot of pride in that as well as trying to do right. Whether it's for the family or for those old senior fans, you want to do the right thing. Haven't always done the right thing, but I feel like as you go through the years, you transition more into the right direction than what we did in the beginning. So that to me, is personally feels good.
And it doesn't seem to matter that you drive a Ford, and even though Dale Sr. drove Fords at very slightly in his career, but do you think that the manufacturer end of this matters as much to fans today as it did back in the day?
Well, I can tell you when we first switched from Chevy to Ford, it was a major topic of conversation with the fans. I think now that the fans see that, the cars are running fast, and Ford is heavily committed. There's as many Ford fans that have jumped on board that weren't Chevy fans, and a lot of the Chevy fans are, have stayed on board, to support the team, and it's really become not a topic of conversation now. But when we first switched, it was surprising to see how much the manufacturer still mattered to the fans, which is good. That's what you need. I mean, it'd be great to see the fans stand up and boo for the guy they don't like. You hear them so much talk about wanting the drivers to to be more vocal and do this, but they should do the same thing. If you don't like the guy, stand up and boo for him. Stand up and cheer for your guy, and be supportive, and that's those are the types of things that the drivers like to see.
Go next to Chris, then to Nick, Kathy, and Todd.
ChrisKnight@Catchfence.com. Kevin, I know it's a little early to start thinking about 2019, but as the Fords have been so strong this year, is a thought that the Mustangs could struggle as we've seen the Camaros do this year?
Well, I don't think you ever really know that answer until you put it on the racetrack. I would put the the aero side of things in this garage, our aero department up against anybody. I don't think anybody does a better job. So, I think as you look at that project, you hope it goes better than what you're seeing from the Chevrolet side of things, but you just never know until you get on the racetrack. It's a tough project, but to have the Mustang back on the racetrack from a branding side of things is going to be pretty cool to be a part of, but I don't anticipate that happening. I think we will do a better job.
Nick Bromberg, Yahoo Sports. I know entering the season, data sharing was a big topic and the potential impact. So now that we're a third of the way through the season, have you noticed an impact or any changes, or was that a little bit overblown before the season?
I feel like we do a really good job of utilizing all the information that is available to us, and we utilize it. It's heavily utilized in our trailer. How it's utilized is, in everybody else's trailer, I don't know. But I know that, we use the tools that we have and try to maximize those tools to make sure somebody's looking at the stuff to pry all the details out of, what you can do better, what you're doing good. So there's a lot of information, and you'd be crazy not to look at it.
Do you feel you have more tools now too?
We have more tools on a daily basis. Yeah. And that's really, as we've transitioned through the Ford side of things, I just feel like every week it feels like we have another tool that's being developed and utilized, and with the manufacturer and the teams and our guys in our trailer from an engineering standpoint and SHR in general do a good job of not saying, oh man, what is this? This is dumb. Let's look at it. Let's use it. Let's see what the benefits are of it, and then figure out how we're going to put that tool in our toolbox as to when it's useful. Because being stuck in what you've always done is your worst nightmare. Because if you get stuck in what you've always done, you're in big trouble in this garage. And it's a constant evolution on a weekly basis as to what you utilize, how you utilize things, when you use them. And it's just when you get this much engineering involved in things, you better be prepared to change what you do, because it changes rapidly. And the way you look at things may not be the same way you look at things next week, whether it's just a screen and how it's laid out, or how you're utilizing it and what you use it for. But it is just a constant evolution of what you have and what you're using. And sometimes I feel like people lose sight of that and don't really understand how engineering based our sport is, and engineering advanced. I'd put this garage up against anybody in racing across the world when you talk about the technology that lives in this garage.
Kathy?
Kathy Sheldon, NASCAR.com. Every time we come here, we talk about the wind. Could you explain a little bit how that affects the racing and whether it's a bigger factor for trucks or cup cars?
Yeah, well, it depends on what direction it's blowing, but you can get a pretty constant wind here, and usually, if I remember correctly, it's going to blow from turn 1 and 2 to, it can blow from turn 1 and 2 to 3 and 4, or 3 and 4 to 1 and 2. Usually, if I remember correctly, it blows straight across one straightaway or the other. It doesn't usually have a crosswind. I'm sure it'll have a crosswind when I walk out there, but for the most part, it seems like it's a headwind or a tailwind. And usually, what that does is it either pushes you into the corner and makes the car usually looser, and if you go into the other end, it's going to make it turn better because there's more air pushing against the side of the car. And if it does wind up being a crosswind, it's going to make the car not want to turn up off the corner or into the corner. So it definitely affects it, and usually it'll blow one direction one day, and then the next day it'll blow the opposite direction, so that you always have something to chase. But that's just a lot of what you put into the notebook, so that you have some idea of what does what when the wind is blowing. But usually it is blowing.
Todd?
All right, Todd Palmer with Kansas City Star again. Dale Jr. had won the most popular driver award 15 straight years. I wanted you to, what's your sales pitch? Why should you get the fans' vote this year as the most popular driver?
Well, we're fortunate to have a great fan base, but we probably won't win. So I would say the next guy that's going to take that reign is going to be Chase Elliott. And the bottom line is when you look at our sport, there's only a few guys that come through this sport that have the name, the history, the heritage of that NASCAR family, and carry that through their career. And Chase is one of those guys, and he's done a great job of carrying himself and being competitive and doing all the things that he does. But he is the NASCAR tie to the beginning of the sport, or however far back you want to look at it. But he has that family name and that history and the heritage of the hardcore NASCAR fan, who are going to be the people who vote that. And his dad won a few times in the most popular driver, and he's the next Dale Jr. He's the next guy that is he going to is he going to win enough to be the megastar at some point? You know, and he's a star right now, but, you know, winning takes you to that next level of being a bigger star. And Chase Elliott winning is better for our sport. And he's going to be the guy that wins the most popular driver, in my opinion, for the next several years. There's nobody else that has that tie to our sport that like Chase does. I can win 20 races a year, and I'm never going to have that tie to the sport like Chase does.
Well, Kevin, good luck in your pursuit of win number 5 on the season, and good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you, guys.
If I can have your attention here in the Media Center, we are now joined by Matt Kenseth, driver of the number 6 Wyndham Rewards Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. Hope the school bus driving went well for you while you were waiting to get back in the car. But, you know, the last time you were on this stage in a Roush Fenway car, you were here as a winner. And I remember you got really emotional after that win. It was a very special moment for you to get that win in a Roush Fenway car. How special is it now for you to be back in the organization and going forward?
Yeah, I mean, the last few weeks have been fun. Obviously, just trying to get, you know, a little bit caught up and kind of reacclimated there with, you know, the system and the people and what's changed and that kind of thing. And been anxious about, you know, today and getting back in the car. So I'm hoping everybody can get through tech and get on track in time. There's not a lot of practice today, so I'm pretty anxious about getting in the car, kind of seeing where we're at, what my comfort level is, you know, where we're at in speed, what we got to work on for tomorrow, that type of thing. So just ready to get going.
Good. We'll start here with Todd, then go to Lee, and then to Brent.
Hey, Matt. Todd Palmer, Kansas City Star. Matt kind of alluded to it. You know, last time here, you've had some success on this track. Does this feel like the perfect place for you to kind of come back, get your feet wet again because of that?
Yeah, actually, last time here, they told me I couldn't race anymore, and we had to load up last fall, I think. So that was the last time I was here. Was not a very good emotion. Kind of that was our last race of the playoffs last year. But it is a fun track. It's you know, fairly straightforward. It's been a great track, I think, since the repave and the banking changing, and so it's a good track, especially for an intermediate. So I do look forward to that.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Somebody just asked on Twitter whether or not, why would you go to Roush if you didn't think you could be competitive? And my response was, I don't think you would have come off the sidelines if you didn't think you could be competitive. You know, how are
Somebody on Twitter reading minds again?
Exactly.
Yeah, I never said I didn't think I could be competitive. If I didn't, I certainly wouldn't be here. So I feel good about you know, the direction that Roush Fenway Racing has taken the last couple of years. Certainly all the Fords are very competitive this year. The 17 has shown, you know, a lot of speed on and off. You don't see it necessarily in all the finishes, but, you know, certainly they've been better. So, like I said, I feel like they're headed in the right direction. I don't have any expectations necessarily for this weekend. I think the goals and expectations will probably continue to adjust once I can get through this week and kind of, you know, see where we're at and evaluate from there.
And just for clarification, your Wyndham announcement, as far as what races Wyndham would sponsor, came out yesterday. I've heard you say on 2 shows that you were going to be in the next 5 races.
Yeah.
What does your schedule look like? Have you been given a number as to how many races you'll run?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing, you know, the next 5 in a row, and then all the Wyndham, and plus all the Wyndham races that they announced. And there's more on top of that. They didn't want to announce the entire schedule yet that we were running, but those are the ones that we can talk about right now, and the rest of it we're still kind of working on. Yep.
We'll go to Brett, then to Briar, then to Chris and Randy.
Brett Williams, SpeedwayDigest.com. You've been out of the car for about 6 months now. Could you just describe to the fans of what a veteran driver does to get themselves back into the form and routine before going back out on the track?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, not much with the testing policies and all that. So I haven't been in a car at all since Homestead last year. So really not much. I mean, besides all the you know, mental prep that you can do, you know, with notes and film and you know, things like that. But as far as the driving, really nothing. I mean, my training has been the same or probably more than last year because I've had more time. So physically, there's nothing really different. Just kind of getting the mental stuff ready. But didn't get a chance to get in the car at all. Was hoping I could get in the car and at least drive one a little bit and kind of get acclimated with their systems and kind of the way they do things. But that's what I'm looking forward to here in about an hour, I guess.
Briar Star Speedway Media. You're obviously coming back this weekend. Winning is an expectation, but what are your kind of like general expectations do you have for the rest of the weekend?
The rest of the weekend? I don't have any expectations for the weekend, to be honest with you, because I just don't know. I haven't been in a car yet. I don't know, how fast we'll get up to speed. What are the things that we're gonna, fight, that type of thing. So I don't really know. I came into this weekend pretty much with no expectations. Pretty much just kind of open mind and kind of take it, one practice at a time, one session at a time, that type of thing, and go from there.
Okay, we'll go next to Randy.
Hi, Matt. Randy Kovitz, Kansas City Star, USA Today, you name it. Couple things. Number one, what'd you miss most out of this hiatus, or what did you appreciate most being away from this? How's it been these last 6 months for you? Number one.
I'd say the fans and the competition. I mean, the thing you miss the most is always the competition. I mean, that's why we all started racing on Friday and Saturday nights, with a couple hundred people in the stands and against all the rest of the drivers, is because you like to compete. So I think when you're not competing, if there's one thing you could pick out, that's probably the part you miss the most. So as far as how the last 6 months have been, they've been great. Honestly, I don't think I've ever had a better period in my life. So that's been really good.
So you've been racing locally in Wisconsin on local tracks? Is that what you've been doing?
No.
Oh, I thought you just said that. What?
Yeah, 30 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, I was talking about like when you first started racing.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of what you started for, is because you're competitive and you love to compete. And I think through your whole career, in any professional sport, I think that's the one constant, is you love to compete no matter what level it's at. So not competing in anything in the last 6 months is probably, if I had to pick one thing that I would miss about it, that would be it.
I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Second thing is, you've got this schedule with Rush this year, but what's your long-term goal? I mean, do you want to kind of show that, hey, you still do belong in this sport? You won late last year at Phoenix, and I've got you with 39 wins. I'm sure you'd like to kind of get into that 40 neighborhood. Just what would you like this to lead to?
Professionally, I don't know that I really have a long-term goal. As far as the rest of it, I don't feel like I have anything to prove to anybody either. So, short-term, I hope to help the organization. I mean, that's kind of why Jack and I decided to do this. They needed to get their performance up. He's hoping I can help with that. I'm hoping I can help with that. It's yet to be seen. Haven't been on the racetrack yet, so I'm not really thinking very far out at the moment, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to, concentrate on this and do the best we can this weekend and kind of evaluate, see where we're at, try to do better next week, and so on and so forth.
Nick?
Yep.
Nick Bromberg, Yahoo Sports. You said you had no expectations, and so how do you enter this practice? Do you sit here and say, all right, I'm going to go attack it with a qualifying lap like you would typically do in a different situation? Or do you try to do a few race laps, get a shakedown of the car, and then see what you have for qualifying speed later?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 2-day schedule, so it's different. I mean, all you get is 2 50-minute practices today, so I'm going to assume that most people are going to work on race trim most of the time. So, we're no different, but even if it was a normal Friday, Saturday, Sunday schedule, we would probably run some race laps just because I haven't been in one of these cars for a while. Haven't been in a Roush car for a long while, so just to kind of get acclimated and hopefully get up to speed, probably take a few laps, kind of get comfortable and do all that, and then hopefully work on qualifying later this afternoon.
Do you anticipate any, adjustment period in terms of learning what your limit is in the car? Do you think it's going to come back up?
With which part? I'm sorry.
Learning where your limit is in the car. Do you
I think most of that comes pretty natural. If you can't tell where that is anymore, then you're probably in, a fair amount of trouble. So, I mean, I think it takes I'm sure it's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm talking minutes, not hours, to kind of get readjusted to everything and make sure everything's fit. You might have to come in a couple times and adjust a few things, whatever. But I think as far as getting up on the speed of the track, I mean, I'm not extremely concerned about having 6 months off. I remember Kyle Busch had about 6 months off, and he came back pretty strong a few years ago. So I'm not, extremely concerned about that.
Go next to Jeff and then to Todd.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. I noticed that you've really been keeping up a strong physical fitness regimen. Is that because just your lifestyle and trying to be healthy, or in the back of your mind were you just also waiting to see if you get this opportunity, you wanted to stay in race shape?
I think for me, especially as you get older, I think you think a little bit more about your health and staying in shape and eating and exercising, all that. I enjoy training. I love running with Katie. I enjoyed doing that half marathon last fall. Enjoy riding my bike. It's not quite as enjoyable when you're doing a lot of miles by yourself, but I've been trying to get back in shape to do the Salt on Mount Mitchell on Monday. So that was the main thing why my miles have been up, and trying to get ready for that. As far as trying to stay in shape for this, I don't know that'd be any different. I've probably been training maybe even a little bit more, not going to the track every week, because I've had a little bit extra time. I really felt like something like this was going to happen this year, and I was probably going to do some racing this year, but didn't know if or when that was going to pop up. But certainly you try to stay in physical and mental shape and pay some attention and be ready for it just in case.
Is it fair to say that you're in the best shape you've ever been in?
Man, I don't know. I mean, definitely the last 3 or 4 years, I've probably been in the better physical shape than I've ever been in. But, it's, if you'd have trained like this, obviously, when you're in your 20s or 30s, you'd be in better shape than you are today. But yeah, I mean, I feel good.
Go to Todd and then to Claire.
I was kind of curious, listening to your answer to some of the other guys. Have you been glued to the TV during races, or have you been trying to avoid watching the races in, say, February, March? And then, two, also, if you could, kind of a separate question, what does it mean to get this chance to maybe go out a little bit more on your own terms, and kind of, cast your ending for yourself rather than kind of the way things went at the end of last season?
I have not been glued to the TV. Certainly the last few weeks when I knew I was doing this, I've watched more and read more competition, related stuff than I did earlier in the year. Earlier in the year, not as much, but honestly, it's pretty busy at our house, and kids go to school all week, and we have Saturdays and Sundays off. Probably spend more time running around with them and spending time with them more so than watching the TV. But certainly I've paid attention, and the last few weeks I've certainly watched more of it than I did before that.
What about
I haven't even given that a thought, to be honest with you. That doesn't it part doesn't really matter to me, I guess.
Claire?
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I know you've been getting your car ready at the shop and that sort of thing. What about the digital dash and things inside the car that you guys have been working on to make it comfortable, or that has been different, or the different feel of it for you?
Well, I mean, I haven't been on a racetrack yet, but that's all stuff you can kind of, set up at the shop. And, I basically have, we went through all that and got what I thought I was comfortable with, and basically where I've been before with it all. And everything seems like it's going to fit pretty similar. So you never know 100% for sure until you get on the track and run some laps. But it seems like that's all pretty close and buttoned up.
What do you like on the dash?
Just whatever information they want and a little bit of information that I want. So I've done it pretty much the same since they came out with it.
Well, Matt, it's great to have you back.
Thanks.
Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Yep. If I can have your attention here in the Media Center, we'll continue on with today's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series media availabilities. And we are joined by Aric Almirola, driver of the number 10 Smithfield Prime Fresh Ford.
Easy for you to say.
Well, yeah, I tell you what, it's quite the mouthful, quite the paint scheme. I mean, you've had a busy week here in Kansas City. You went yesterday to the Kansas City headquarters of Smithfield. You got to show them the new car, and then you did some donations. Just walk us through your time here in Kansas City.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed coming to Kansas City from the very beginning of working with Smithfield. This used to be headquarters for farmland, and then as they've transitioned and created one Smithfield, now it's headquarters for Kansas City area for Smithfield. So I love coming here. It's always a lot of fun. I've got a great friend that I come and stay with, and always look forward to coming to Kansas City. But then, yesterday getting to go to headquarters for Smithfield and get to see all the employees. I think they have about 900 employees here in the Kansas City area. So to come and see a lot of them and sign autographs for them and share the new paint scheme for this weekend was fun and exciting. And then to also, we donated money on behalf of Stuart Haas Racing and Smithfield to Children's Mercy Hospital here in Kansas City, which was a lot of fun and nice to do, to be able to give back. And that's one of the things that I've always loved about Smithfield is through all the food donations and donations to children's hospitals around the areas. It makes it to where it's an honor to represent their company, because they do so much more than just put stickers on a race car and let me go ride around. They actually, get involved with the communities and where we race at.
Okay, we're going to open the floor up for questions. We'll start with Sean, then go to Todd, and then to Lee.
Sean Roney, Dos Mundos newspaper here in Kansas City. If memory serves, Aric, not too long ago you talked to the press about what life is like for you a year after the crash here. Just, is it difficult to not think about that now that you're here and just put all that stuff out of your mind and just focus on the race this weekend?
I don't think it's difficult at all. I mean, I think I show up to the racetrack every weekend and just go and focus on, trying to get my car handling the way I want it to and fast and ready to go race for that weekend. And every weekend is a different challenge because it's a different track. But, I never really let my mind drift back to that, to that place, if you will. I mean, when I came back here in the fall, it was probably a little bit more top of mind, coming back here, just a few months after breaking my back here in May when we came back in October. But then to go through that weekend, and we ran really well, and I think we finished 9th. So to come back here and kind of get somewhat of redemption on the racetrack and sort of, put that to bed and come here and run as well as we did and run top 10, I think it's a non-issue. I don't even really think about it. I have to think about it because you guys asked me about it, but I don't think about it.
Todd?
Todd Palmer, Kansas City Star. 2 questions for you. First, if memory serves, last year you were in the hospital and it ruined your Mother's Day plans with your wife. So do you have something special to make up for it this year?
Well, I actually I brought my wife with me this time. So if I do end up not making it home, at least she's with me this year. But my mom was gracious enough to offer to babysit the kids this weekend. So kind of having a little getaway weekend with my wife, and that's been nice.
So she got a line of credit at the casino then?
No, we're keeping her out of the casino, but I think she is across the street planning to do some shopping today, which could hurt.
My second question was, if memory serves, you went through the Joe Gibbs Diversity Initiative.
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
How important do you think that is to the future of NASCAR? And we've seen some guys, Bubba Wallace obviously has gotten a lot of attention, Kyle Larson, some of those guys, but also how important do you think it is on the crew side, on the behind-the-scenes side, that you guys kind of make that transition, make that a priority from a business standpoint?
Yeah, and one more to add to that is Suarez. Suarez went through the same program. I think it's important because, in my opinion, it gives people an opportunity that otherwise probably would never get the opportunity. And as a race car driver, that's what we all ask for. That's what we all need. You need that shot. You need that opportunity. And the reality is that most people, growing up racing their late model or racing their go-kart, they don't ever get that shot. There's probably thousands of kids out there that were more talented at racing go-karts than me. I won my share of races and state championships and national championships, but I raced against other kids that were equally as talented for sure. and whether their parents could afford to take them to the next level or not was, particularly an issue. And then once you get to late model stock racing, your parents have to be really, really, really invested and bought in on trying to help you with a hobby, because at that time it's a hobby, and you have hopes and dreams of turning it into something. But you can play any stick and ball sport, and it costs your parents at max maybe $1,000 a year between paying for league fees and jerseys and maybe a new baseball glove and baseball bat every year, or new cleats, and traveling to and from games. To go racing, especially like late model racing, it costs the family, between 75 and 150 grand a year, depending on how much you want to spend. I mean, you can spend more than 150 grand if you wanted to. So it is a very expensive sport to get into, and especially for, a young child or a kid that's 15, 16 years old and you don't know where it's ever going to go. That's a huge financial burden and investment on a family to basically throw that money away, because everything in racing, once you use it and race it, you're going to get 10 cents on the dollar for it. So you go out and you buy a new late model and motor, and you go through the year and you spend 150 grand to go race late models, and then it doesn't work out, or you can't afford to continue to do it. You're going to sell all that stuff and maybe get 25 grand for it all, and your kid is not going to be a professional race car driver, and so that money's gone. You never get it back. So I think that's the biggest challenge with trying to get younger kids into our sport, and I think that's where the diversity program really steps in, as they help these kids with giving them that shot, and they, NASCAR and the Drive for Diversity take on that financial initiative and investment, and invest in these kids. And even on the crew side, they allow them and give them the space and the opportunity to come and work in a shop and work in an environment where that's probably not available to them at the local short track ranks.
We'll go to Lee, Brett, Breyer, Nick, and Kathy.
On a scale from 1 to 10, where's your confidence level this year compared to 2017?
Wow, I'd say an 8. I think my confidence is pretty high. I'd say last year, not that I didn't have confidence, but I was always unsure on what I was going to get. Last year, life was like a box of chocolates. You never knew what you were going to get from week to week. This year, I know what I'm going to get. Every week, I know I'm going to show up with a car that's going to be fast, and that it's up to Johnny and myself to do the best that we can to make it a race-winning car. We have the product. We have the potential to have a race-winning car each and every week, and we can see it internally amongst our teammates. We can look at what they have, and that's just going to take time for Johnny and myself to continue to grow together and build a notebook together. You got to remember, Johnny is going on week 11 or week 12 of being a brand new crew chief. He's never crew chief at the truck rank, never crew chief at the Xfinity rank. So having him and being as new to it as it is, it's going to take him time to continue to evolve and develop. Got a new engineer, a new lead race engineer that's young. And that's one of the things that I think is so cool, is that our team is really built for the future. We've got a bunch of young guys on our team, and we're all, really fired up, and we're all young and ambitious. And so I think as we continue to build and get better and better together, the future looks bright for us. And we're off to a good start, even these first 11 weeks, we're just a few points out of 10th in the points. We've had 4 top 10s, so we're doing things well, but we see that there's so much more potential out there for us.
Brett?
Brett Williams, SpeedwayDigest.com. Kind of a follow-up to Lee's question. This year, you have teammates, and you didn't really have that last year or throughout your career up to that point. How has that been going for you?
It's been an experience for sure. It's been nice to be able to go and sit in a hauler after practice and debrief with 3 other guys and 3 other crew chiefs and 3 other race engineers, and listen to the way that they describe their car, listen to the changes that they made that helped their car. I mean, especially now the schedule and the practices and everything are getting more and more condensed. We're getting less on-track time. So you really only have a chance to make 3 or 4 changes per practice to really get an idea on a feel for, setup changes and stuff. So when you have 3 other cars in your organization that are also doing the same things and they're making changes, you can kind of bounce ideas off of each other and learn. You get basically more data for the given time that we have to be on track, and that has been nice. But then just simply to hear how Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer and Kurt Busch, they approach the weekend and how they go from working on their car on Saturday to knowing what they need for it to be good on Sunday. I mean, that's experience. And you gain that from, they've got 15, 20 years of experience in the sport. And so that just helps me tremendously, just being able to learn from their experience.
Also, how has the transition been going for you over at Stewart-Haas Racing? You finished in the top 15 in all but 2 races this year. How is it? What little gaps are you still trying to make a connection with the new environment?
Yeah, I think just the fact that I'm new to the organization and trying to figure out each and every week where we need to unload with setup wise, and we every time we feel like we're starting to understand a trend, we go to a different racetrack, or we show up with a new car. And that trend doesn't always play out. Like, we'll show up one weekend and be like, oh, we need to be a little bit tighter than where the 4 is going to show up, and then we show up and we're too tight and we got to start freeing up. Or we've got to continue to build our notebook with the 10 team. And I think that's what makes those other teams so strong. And you even listen to Boyer talking about it. He went through last year and had a lot of inconsistencies. They'd run really good one week and then go 2 or 3 weekends and just be average. And then they'd run really good for 2 weeks and then go through another couple week swing of not being where they wanted to be. I feel like at least we've been consistent, but we just haven't reached our max potential. And I think that that's just going to come with time and continuing to build our notebook to where we can go back to these tracks for a second and third and fourth time and say, hey, remember last time when we showed up, we were X, and we definitely don't want to do that again. We want to be here. Or, hey, remember we were really good at this racetrack and this is what we had. Let's take that and massage on it and tweak it and make it better. So I feel like that's kind of where we're missing it compared to our teammates, just not having that database.
Briar, Nick, Kathy, and then we'll start it with Claire at the end.
Briar Star, Speedway Media. Kind of a follow-up to that question. You have a 12.7 average finish. What would it mean to you in Stewart-Haas Racing to possibly make the playoffs for this year?
I think it'd be huge. I mean, I think that's what we expect. I think we went into the year hoping to, be a team that's capable of running for a championship and making the playoffs. And, I think we're on target for that. We knew that the beginning of the year there would be some growing pains and we'd go through some ebbs and flows. But, I feel like overall, as a whole, our company is a championship caliber company, and all 3 of our other cars are showing speed and doing the things that they need to do to make the playoffs, and we need to do our part, and so far we are, and I feel like if we didn't make the playoffs, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but by all means, we have the resources and the people at Stewart-Haas Racing and the cars capable of doing that. So, I keep saying it, but it's up to Johnny and my team and myself to go out and get the job done. And so I feel like currently we're on pace to do that. And we've just got to continue to build and get better. And we will be, I hope to be peaking by the time we get to the playoffs. I think we've got 15 more races till the playoffs start. And so that gives us 15 more weeks to continue to grow together and continue to build our foundation so that when we do start the playoffs, we're firing on all 8 cylinders.
Nick Bromberg, Yahoo Sports. What was your reaction Monday when you saw the report that NASCAR was potentially looking for an investor for sale? Or what went through your head?
As long as there's a place for me to show up and race, I've got my helmet and I'm ready to go race. I mean, I just love to race cars, and that's kind of my take on it all. I mean, I've raced for a lot of different sanctioning bodies throughout my career, whether it was WKA, the World Karting Association, or the Florida Automobile Stock Car Racing Association in Florida, or whatever the next series was, or the NASCAR Late Model Series. And I just show up every single weekend, excited to go race, and that's what I love. That's what I've always done. And so for me, as long as there's a platform and a ride available for me to go race, I don't really care who owns it. I mean, that's just the truth. I know that's probably not the answer you're looking for, but I really, like, I could give a crap less. Yeah.
Kathy?
Kathy Sheldon, NASCAR.com. Stewart Haas is so hot, Aric. Could you describe kind of the culture of how you guys keep it working together and collaborative rather than breaking into more competition within the team?
Yeah, I think that that's what makes Stewart Haas Racing so successful is that, you know, you've got, 4 competitive teams, and obviously there's a lot of big personalities there and a lot of fun-loving spirit. But the commonality of Stewart Haas Racing is that everybody that shows up to work, whether it's Kevin Harvick or Tony Stewart or Gene Haas or the people sweeping the floors, everybody just loves racing. And that's like, I've been at a lot of organizations, fortunately and unfortunately, in my career. And so I've gotten to see some of the, the good, bad, and the ugly of each organization. You know, I've been a part of Joe Gibbs Racing. I've been affiliated with Hendricks through Junior Motorsports, and the 6 weeks that I spent, working with Jimmy Johnson and on that baby duty deal that I did there. I've been a part of DEI. I've been a part of RPM, and through RPM, I've gotten to work with Roush. So I've seen a lot of the garage area. And the one thing that stands out to me the most at Stewart Haas Racing is that from top to bottom, the passion for just racing in general is unbelievable. Like, the people that work at Stewart Haas Racing wake up every morning excited to go to work for no other reason than to just figure out how to make race cars go faster. And everybody wants to just pull their weight. And that's something that is rare in this industry, because this industry is very dog-eat-dog world. And it's that's just not the case at SHR. It's everybody's there to pull their own weight and to do the best that they can at their job to try and help make their part of the race car go faster. And that collective effort, I think, is what has Stewart Haas Racing on top right now.
Claire?
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Tony Stewart in Victory Lane mentioned you when I interviewed him and said that you guys were coming, and he has such faith in you. And I wonder what he's lent to you as he sees your program. And he mentions the guys that finish at the top, and then you guys are coming. He feels very strong about it. What has Tony lent to the effort of where your particular team and you are at right now?
I think for me, Tony's just a great calming voice, because for me, I sit back and I look at the success that all my teammates are having. And while, yes, we are running good and we are, we're on pace to make the playoffs. We've got an average finish of whatever they said, 12 and a half. And so we're doing good things, but human nature is greed, right? Like, and so you always want more. And so if you would have told me going into the year, before the season even started at Daytona, that by, Kansas in May, that we would be 11th in points, 3 points out of 10th, and have an average finish of 12th, I would have probably said, all right, that's awesome, I'll take it. But then you go through the year and you watch the 4-car run as good as they have, and you watch the 14-car, win Martinsville and run up front, and you watch the 41-car run up front. And we have too, but we haven't always been as competitive as those cars. And so human nature is greed, and so I get to where I want more. Like, I want to win, and we're only 11 races in, right? And so Tony's been just a very calming voice. He's been like, be patient. Your time is coming. Your group is young. Your group is new. You're new to the organization. Like, you're far, you're meeting our expectations and then some. And so that's just reassuring, and it's a confidence builder for me, knowing that, even though I want more, and I'm greedy, and I want to win, and I want to run in the top 5 every week, they're satisfied, and that they're happy with where we're at as a race team, and that just allows me to not feel pressure, and to be overly anxious, and to just concentrate on continuing to build that foundation with Johnny and the 10 team, and to get to where we need to be to run like Harvick and Boyer and Kurt.
Sean, last question.
Sean Roney, Dos Mundos again. Going back to your earlier comments about the diversity program, what changes, if any, would you like to see made to the program so that it's more inclusive and more folks get an opportunity to be involved in this sport?
That's a tough question. It's a slippery slope, because the reality is that everybody needs a shot, right? Everybody needs a shot. Everybody needs an opportunity, especially if they've shown that they deserve it, and that they can, and that they've proven that they deserve that opportunity. But once you get that opportunity, it's up to you. It's up to that individual to make the most of it, to kind of carry on and continue. And not every time is the player that's drafted in the first round of the draft pick gonna make it, right? And so there's that process of evaluating where that person's at, giving them the shot and the opportunity, and then it's up to them to go make the most of it. And if they do, then they create more opportunities for themselves. And you've seen that with Kyle Larson and Daniel Suarez and Darrell Wallace and the other guys, that they've gotten that opportunity, they've had success, and then that success has led to more opportunities. And then unfortunately there's been others that have gotten the opportunity and it just hasn't panned out. They haven't shown the speed or had the success, and then they don't make it. So I don't know. I don't think that anybody should be given anything, and I don't think that anybody expects to be given something that they don't deserve. But I feel like as an athlete, we all just want one shot, one opportunity. And if you get that shot and get that opportunity, then it's up to you to go and make the most of it.
Aric, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Yep.
Great. Good luck this weekend.